Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is iOLANDE Melody. Today's video is all about Sarracenia, how to look after it, how to make sure that it flourishes and that you give the best care you possibly can to this plant, but also how to revive it from the dead. One of the main reasons why I feel so confident talking about the care for this plant is because when I first bought this plant, it was in a dire state, and now it's like a whole new plant. I initially first bought my Sarracenia from the casualty section at a garden centre. Most of the pictures were dry, crispy. The plant really did look like it was on its way out, and my friend even said to me, you should chuck that away, it's not really... doesn't look like it's gonna do much. But I persevered, I did the research, I nurtured this plant, and now it is a thriving beauty. So anyway, that's not what you're here for. You're not here to hear my life story. Let's start at the basics. The Sarracenia is a carnivorous plant, and just like the Venus flytrap, it also feeds off prey. And it's very unique how it does this. So the Sarracenia, or commonly known as a pitcher plant, eats insects by luring them into a specialised cylindrical leaf using a combination of nectar, sweet scent, and conspicuous coloration. The pitcher has an amazing structure that is able to catch insects with no moving parts. This plant doesn't move unless it's got a fly that's buzzing and dying in it. So any given time, now that my plant is thriving and it's got fully developed pitchers, it just has a pile of insects, one on top of the other. It's having multiple meals all at the same time. Unlike the Venus flytrap, it doesn't leave any skeleton of a fly that you need to take out at some point. The pitchers will fully digest its prey. You really don't need to actively be feeding it because the nectar that it gives off at the top of the pitcher, believe me, attracts so many flies, but I never see them flying around because they're in the pitcher. Anyway, so how much sunlight does this plant need? Very similar to the Venus flytrap, this plant requires ideally 6 or more hours of direct sunlight. And then it says here, if full sun is not possible, provide a minimum of 4 hours of direct sunlight with bright indirect light during the rest of the day. This means that if you don't have a south-facing window, the plant will still like a west-facing window. And similar to the Venus flytrap, the Sarracenia also has a dormancy period. So again, do not throw these plants away if they start to wither in the winter because they are meant to go through hibernation. It says here that Sarracenia require 3 to 4 months of winter dormancy triggered by cold temperatures below 50 Fahrenheit or 10 Celsius. As your plants enter dormancy, they will stop growing altogether. Some plants will retain their pitchers into the winter, but many leaves will turn brown. So again, if you've looked after your plant well throughout the summer, it's not you. The plant is just going through its natural phases. So just so I'm not repeating myself, the Sarracenia plant requires very, very similar care to the Venus flytrap. So the next few points I'm going to go through quite quickly, just so that you know. But if you want to hear me elaborate on all of these points, feel free to check out my Venus flytrap video after this, where I go into a hell of a lot more detail. So the Sarracenia likes to be moist all the time, and from my personal experience, the best way to water this plant is actually from the bottom. So I have a plastic container underneath the pot, and I just make sure that the tray is constantly topped up. You really want to avoid the tray running out of water because, like I say, this plant does not like to be dry at all. Do not let it dry out. The Sarracenia also requires distilled water or rainwater. Do not give the Sarracenia mineral water or tap water. If you want to know more about this, check out the other video. So what soil does it need? You can either use a carnivorous plant mix, which is easy but a bit more expensive, but I personally mix 50% sphagnum moss and 50% vermiculite or perlite. What type of pot does it need? A plastic pot, because similar to the Venus flytrap, it does not like minerals. It gets its minerals from its prey. And last but not least, do not feel scared of pruning this plant, even if most of the pictures are dead and withering, because when I first got this plant, that was the case. As soon as I took the jump and got rid of all of the dead ends, that's when this plant really started to prosper, and now it's just growing at a phenomenal rate. And also, one last tip: when you are pruning the pitcher, try and trim it right at the base, because from my personal experience, even if you trim off a dead part of the pitcher and you leave the healthy part, it won't create new growth. So just trim the whole thing off right at the base. And that is it. I hope that you enjoyed this video and found it informative. Also, comment below if you have any care tips, or just talk about plants, I don't know. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to drop me a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Love you, bye.